Hello everybody, this is Gayle. In my last video that I did, my Q&A video, I promised some more cane videos, and I just finished going through a pile of papers that I have. I'm famous for seeing something that I like and then printing a copy of it, and I had so many pieces of paper. So I went through everything, and as I was going through it, I came across maybe 10 different things that I'd like to show you. So today, I don't have a whole lot of time, so I thought I would show you something that's really simple, and you can do it with any color. What I'm starting out with is some translucent clay rolled out to a number 1 on my pasta machine, and some white clay that I've rolled out to a number 3. Now I'm going to move the white because I'm going to be using some alcohol inks. And this is probably way too much clay for what I need to do, but I'll just do something with it when I'm finished. I've decided what I'm going to try to do, and hopefully this will work. I am going to make 2 videos a week, hopefully. One video would be making a cane, and the second video would be how to use it. Maybe making a bracelet or making a pendant or something, and that way you'll not only get the cane, but then how to use the cane. So let's start with this. I'm going to start with some translucent clay and some alcohol inks. Now, I don't know, the last one I did was in a real pretty blue, and I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to change this to a combination of green and yellow, which will probably make a light, maybe a lime green. I don't know. I haven't done this yet. I don't know what the color is going to turn out like. But I am not going to use my hands until after this is dry, because I don't want to use, to dye my fingers. But these are Pinata inks. They're alcohol inks. You could use any alcohol ink. This just happens to be what I have. And I'm going to dot green on here. And like I said, you can use any color you want. It will color the clay to whatever color you want it to be. I think I got most of it up in my sponge. Let me put a little bit more. I just want to make sure this is going to turn out a pretty green. And this is, oh, this is lime green. I thought I picked up rainforest green. Maybe I'll just use this and not blend it. I was going to use rainforest green and yellow, but I forgot I had lime green. I just happened to pull it out by mistake. So let's just do the lime green. I'll put the yellow away, so I save that for another time. And just let it sit on your clay, and you want it to dry. And it doesn't take long to dry, because being alcohol, but you do have to let it dry because you don't want to incorporate anything wet into your polymer clay. So while that's drying, I'm going to clean up a little bit because I kind of made a mess here. I always keep alcohol in a spray bottle on my desk. I have 2 spray bottles. I have water and I have alcohol, and I've got them marked W and A so I don't use the wrong one, but usually the big one is my water. But I'm going to let this dry. Let me get something to fan this. I'm not going to use a heat gun, being alcohol. I'm not sure what that would do. So let me just fan it a little bit until it dries. And I didn't have to use the sponge. Like I said, I think I probably wiped off as much as I put on the clay. But I just thought it would blend easier this way, but it doesn't really matter. But it looks like this is dry, so I'm going to fold it with the ink inside. And again, I have a motor on my pasta machine, so please excuse the noise, but I'm going to run this through the pasta machine. Still running it through on a number 1. And what I'm going to be doing is adding a translucent dye to the translucent clay. If you could use just a little bit of opaque clay, but I just want to make sure that this stays transparent. So I'm going to tint this with the alcohol ink. So let me continue to blend this a little bit. Okay, and I was right. That's not going to be bright enough for what I want to do. So I'm going to add some more alcohol ink, and this time I'm not going to spread it. I'm just going to put it on here and let it dry. It might take a little bit longer. I thought it would speed things up using a sponge, but evidently it took too much of the clay off. So again, I'm going to try to get this ink to dry. And being alcohol, it doesn't take long for it to dry, but you can see when it's not wet anymore. And I don't know why, I've gotten to where I really like the smell of alcohol. I don't know if it's because I've used it so much in my clay, but I'm really beginning to like the smell of alcohol. It's not quite dry yet. It's almost. But I want to make sure this is a nice, bright lime green. And there's really not a whole lot you need to do other than make your green clay, or whatever color clay you decide to use, and then wrap it in white, and then you're just going to see some amazing things. This dries shiny, so it's hard. No, it's still wet. Let me spread it out a little bit. I didn't want to get it on my fingers, but hey, it's clay, it's alcohol. And let me spray my finger with alcohol. To get it off of my fingers before it permanently stains them. I can't imagine fixing dinner tonight with lime green hands. That would look kind of weird. Let me... This is like watching water boil, isn't it? I hope you all had a chance to look at my Q&A videos. It ended up being in 2 parts. And I had just accumulated so many questions. And one of my subscribers, who is also an experienced polymer clay person, she says, why don't you do a Q&A video? And I said, oh, well, I don't have enough questions for a Q&A. So I went back and looked at all the comments on all of my videos, and I was shocked at how many questions that people had asked me that I had answered. I answered their questions. And so I wrote them, I copied them down and did a video answering all those questions, and I was trying not to dismantle my camera outfit here because it's the way it's set up. It would be difficult to take it down and put it up. It's great as long as I leave it where it is. But so I used my cell phone, and the first time I tried, it cut off after 5 minutes, only to find out the default on my phone was to allow ultra high definition, and it'll only hold 5 minutes. It'll only record for 5 minutes, so the phone doesn't overheat. So I went, okay. So I erased that, and I started over with the regular high definition. And then my phone ran out of memory, ran out of storage space, so I had to stop and upload one and then erase that from my phone and then do the second half, and it ended up being an all afternoon process, but it got done. But I hope you've had a chance to look at it, and you know, maybe it'll answer some of your questions. But I'm going to turn the camera off for a minute while I condition this. There's no sense in you having to watch again, and I'll be back as soon as I get this all blended. Okay, I'm back. It's all blended now, and this is a much nicer color than what I had before. So this is, I ended up rolling this on a number 3 on my pasta machine, and I'm going to start rolling it, and I start pushing from the edge. Just push it up, and make sure you're not trapping any air in it. And then just slowly roll it into a log. This ended up being a little bigger than what I was expecting. I'm going to push in on each end. Just to make it more uniform, and I'm going to try making it shorter, and you do that just by pushing on each end and then roll it to smooth it out. Push in again and roll, and you just keep pushing in. This is just the opposite of reducing. We're going to reduce it in a few minutes, but I just needed to get it to a good size here. And I need to get this divot out, because when I wrap it, that divot will hold air. Let me see how wide my white clay is. Oh, I've got a little bit of room. Let me trim my clay off. Actually, I'm going to do it this way, I think. Just so I have a straight edge. Just make sure there's no places where air will get trapped in. And lay this on your white. And I like to trim it, roughly trim it to size before I wrap. You can always trim the ends after you start, but like I said, this white is on a number 3, which is a little bit thinner than the number 1 setting, and I'm going to roll this around till it touches and then back it up, and it left a mark right here, and I know being white clay you're not going to be able to see it, but you don't want any overlap if you can help it. I didn't trim that very well. I must have missed the line. I did. I was trying not to have to turn it out of your way, and I ended up missing the line totally. But see, you cut on that line and then it'll meet up perfectly, and if it's a little bit short, you just push it a little bit and it goes in. Believe it or not, this is all the construction that you have to do so far on what's going to be a gorgeous cane. I will trim a little bit of the white off the end here, just so I don't have a lot of extra white. And now I'm going to reduce. Now the reason I didn't want to reduce before, I was making the green fatter, is that when I reduce, I want the white to get thinner. So if I had started with a thinner green log, I would have to have maybe run the white on maybe a number 5 to get it thin. And you'll see why. This is so cool. It's just such a neat thing. I've done this in a sort of an aqua blue, and it was gorgeous. And actually, this is so big, I think I'm going to just cut a piece so we don't have to reduce the whole thing. And I press it in the middle, make a little waist. See, like making a waist. And then I pinch the ends so that the ends don't bulge. If it starts to bulge, just push it back in, and then I roll it to even it out. And then I do it again. I make sure the ends and just roll. And I may even have to cut this again. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to reduce one end, and I'll reduce it as we need it. But what you need to do is to reduce this down to a teeny tiny, when I say teeny tiny, maybe a 1/8 inch snake on one end. Let me just cut this off because it looks like it's going to be deforming. And just, you can see where rolling it down that small, I'm going to have more than enough cane. And I think I'll cut this off again. I'll eventually have to reduce all that, but it's just going to make it harder. But you just keep rolling. You can pull it if you want. Make it a little bit smaller by pulling. And when you get it down small enough, and it doesn't even have to be real even, but then you start chopping it into little pieces. But you see on these little pieces how thin the white got when I reduced it. See, the white got thinner, and it just looks like little green pods. But you just keep slicing. They don't have to be a certain thickness or anything, so just, what do they call that? Idiot's delight, where you just do the same thing over and over again without thinking. But you just do this, and I'm going to have to do this to the whole cane in order to come up with enough for a project. And I won't bore you with doing all of that, but I want to show you what we're going to be doing. And let me roll some more. I'm running out of little cane. Normally when you're reducing a cane, like see here, it's a little bit fatter here and then skinnier here. You worry about everything being uniform, but in this you don't need to worry about that. So there's another little string. Let me You can move your blade because it does have a tendency to stick to your blade, and that way it won't stick together. Then you can just push them off. So this is what This is going to take a while. So again, I'm going to pause the camera while I keep chopping and keep reducing, because I've got a lot of cane to reduce, so it's going to take me a while. So I will be back when this is done. Okay, I'm back. I have been chopping and rolling and reducing and chopping for about 45 minutes, but I've got everything chopped up, and you can see I just have a big pile of little green circles. Now, and you probably have already figured this out, what I'm going to do is just, after I'm going to stir it up a little bit, make sure that there's no, or not many of the pieces stuck together in lines or squares or whatever happened when you cut it up. And now I'm just going to start to compress. And of course, these are going to go everywhere because they're going to stick to your hands. But maybe I'll do this first. Start from the top and push down and then push in. At least that way you're sticking it to your tile or to your glass or whatever you're working on. But you just want to get it all compressed together. Make sure there's none stuck to my hands anywhere. And then keep pressing it, because again, you need to make sure you press the air out of this pile. So just make sure that you're, in fact, I think I'll turn it over and press a little bit. Go on each side and press it down, because you need to compress this. And this is going to be our cane. I think I'll roll over it just a little bit to kind of smooth it out a little bit. Try to make it level, the same size on all the sides. Not the same size, but they're all flat. Now this is a different type of cane. This is not millefiori work, which is putting shapes together and things. This was just a fun thing. Let me get each end flat. Alright, and let me just take a slice and show you what it's going to look like on the inside. And that's the way it looks on the inside. Isn't that kind of neat looking? Look at the ink and clay stuck on my fingers. But that's the way it looks on the inside. This is the way it looks on the outside, and that's the way it looks on the inside. But this is going to be our clay, our cane, and we'll make things out of it. I think I might make at least some earrings and maybe a bracelet, maybe a necklace. We'll see. But my next video, we will make this cane into something. So get your cane ready if you follow this, and then when my next video comes out, you'll have your cane ready and you can make along with me. So everybody have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.